new spider sense is a trip. Either I'm not used to it yet, or I'm sensing one of the fragments closing in on me.
Man, am I glad this guy is finally here. I've been meaning to get a figure of Spider-Man 2099 for quite a while now, but every release we've had before today's figure has had something about it that ultimately turned me away. The Marvel Legends is on one hand pretty decent, with good articulation and accessories, but on the other hand is pretty outdated on a 10-year-old body that may be getting hit with mold degradation at this point. The various Spider-Verse versions are nice, but I'm looking for a comics version first and foremost, and Mezco's soft goods take didn't really work for me. Well, that and the blue seemed just a bit too bright for my taste. So of course, leave it to Medicom to come through with their own version of Miguel O'Hara as part of the Mafex line. It's weird that this is my first time really talking about a Mafex release that isn't just in comparison to something else. Thought that would be the symbiote Spider-Man or Thor, but I'm getting off topic here. Medicom has had quite the positive reputation regarding their Spider-Man figures, so let's take a look at this guy and see if he continues that trend. So as far as proportions and sculpt go, if you have any of the previous Mafex Spideys, you'll know what to expect here. This figure is ultimately the same body as those ones. But that isn't a bad thing in the slightest. In fact, I don't really have many criticisms here. All of the details the 2099 suit is known for are present and accounted for. In particular, I'm loving the look of the Skull Spider logo. And while some may have preferred Miguel to have different proportions to Peter, I personally think it works just fine. What really makes it for me, though, is the colors. Stop me if you've heard this one before. Originally, Spider-Man 2099's suit was supposed to be black and red, with blue being used to highlight the details, like with the black suit Spidey and Venom. But when you look at the actual comic, the highlights were so prominent, people thought it was a blue suit, and it's stuck ever since. Now, I'm not saying I wanted Medicom to make this figure black instead of blue. I'm perfectly fine with the blue. But I will say that I very much prefer the dark blue they've gone with instead of a bright blue like some other versions have. It just feels closer to what the original intent was without being alienating to those who are used to the blue color. Plus, I think the darker color just suits Miguel's character a bit more. That might just be a me thing. And all of this is complemented by some dark airbrushing that helps highlight the musculature of the sculpt. The only issues I do have here are a few minor paint issues on the shoulders. Thankfully, they aren't too noticeable under natural lighting, but they are there. Also, there's this weird shine that he has on his crotch of all places. Miguel, I think you may need to call a doctor. I don't think that's normal. Then there's the web cape, which has a nice transparent look to it. It's also connected on a hinge joint, letting you move it around to better fit what poses you want. But that's not the only feature this cape has. On the biceps, you can find these holes to plug in one of these extra cape parts to fill it out. Not only that, but you also get two entirely different back plates, each with a variation on the cape. Given that the cape tended to be drawn differently from artist to artist, I love giving people options to suit what they prefer. It's also very easy to swap the parts out, though that may cause issues when posing the figure. The backplate is a bit looser than normal to necessitate the feature, meaning it can fall out from the shoulder joints bumping against it. I don't think it'll be that big of an issue, just be mindful when using the butterfly joints on the arms and you should be good. And since we're on it, let's talk about the rest of the accessories. Outside of the standard head, you get one with his teeth showing to use his paralyzing venom, as well as a neck piece specifically for it. And one with a more angry expression, which initially I questioned the point of having, but upon further inspection it's actually grown on me quite a bit. From there we've got the standard set of hands and web effects we've come to expect with Spider-Man, the only difference being the flipping hands, as Miguel's version is different from Peter's and Miles'. Chopping hands are also a new addition, I believe, which, hey, more options, so I'm cool with that. There's also a set of magnet hands and feet, which I'll probably never use much, but hey, it was fun getting these shots of him on the fridge. Definitely a cool feature, and it's possible to hang him using just two of them, but it is precarious. Try it if you want, but overall it's safer to use all four magnets at once. Finally, there's the patented Mafex stand. It's a very simple thing, but it gets the job done and allows you to get him in the air for poses, which of course naturally brings us to the articulation. Now, if you've seen other videos from me, you may have heard me mention it a little bit before, but the articulation here is truly fantastic. You could make the argument that there could have been a bit more range in the ab crunch, but even then, what you get is still great and should make getting into Spider-Man poses no trouble whatsoever. I think what really makes it is how smooth it is. All of the joints move with incredible ease, but are still tight enough that they're perfectly capable of holding poses with no issue. Again, the only problem you'll have to face is the backplate potentially falling off. It can happen pretty easily if you're not paying attention, but again, so long as you're careful with the butterfly joints, you should be good. So overall, the articulation is as good as you'd expect at this price. If you're looking for a Spidey that can get into dynamic poses fairly easily, this guy should do you just fine. At just a little over 15 centimeters tall, Spidey 2099 is going to have no problem fitting in with other figures. Mafex tends to be the in-between line of 1/12 figures. They're larger than the true 1/12 scale of lines like SH Figuarts or Figma, but are still shorter than lines like Marvel Legends, meaning they fit in pretty much everywhere without looking out of place. That's especially good in this case since I'm pretty sure the SH Figuarts and Mezco 2099 Spideys are actually both closer to being 1/10 scale, making this guy the choice for 1/12 collectors who really prioritize their figures being in scale with one another. You know, as I was writing the script for this video, I debated whether or not I should make this a casual review or not, and that simply comes down to how little I felt I really had to criticize. This figure really is a top tier release. The only issues I have are some small paint QC and the backplate being a bit loose. That's it. It looks good, has a good selection of accessories, and poses really nicely to boot. If you've been looking for a 2099 Spider-Man to get, this guy is a very good pick, and continues the trend of great Mafex Spider-Man figures. Here's hoping that trend is continuing with the No Way Home figures, but I guess I'll just have to find out about those guys another day. But with all that being said, we're at the end of the video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Later!